The way I've heard it sometimes is people look at the resolutions and the new year and the new beginnings and all that kind of stuff as the new and improved me. Here's a way for me to be better. Here's a better version of me, like, Thom 5.0. And it's, once again, that's fine if it works for you and that helps you out. But if it doesn't, then another way to look at a new and improved me from a spiritual perspective would be,
when life throws a challenge at you, one thing is certain: to find a resolution for every issue, every problem, for everybody, there's more than one way. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of More Than One Way. I'm Whitney Ross, and with me, as always, is Thom Rasnick.
Hey, Whitney.
Hey, Thom. How you doing?
Good. I'm good today.
Good. We are at the start of a new year.
A new year.
Yeah, how about that?
Can you believe it?
I know. Another one is here. There's always, this time of year, there's always a lot of discussion around resolutions and intentions and fresh starts for people.
Right. Seems like a good time to do that, right?
Yeah, it seems like it. A lot of people really participate in that and kind of find some energy behind that. So,
how's that usually work out?
That's a great question. I guess it depends on the individual.
Yeah.
For me personally, it's never worked out that great. Mm-hmm. Kind of stayed on track for a few weeks, maybe a month, and then kind of just lost my momentum, I guess. Right. Kind of slipped back into what I was doing before.
I think that's pretty common, don't you think?
Yeah, it seems to be. I did a little research just kind of leading into this topic just to kind of see what was out there. And the University of Scranton, they do great work.
Yeah, they got a really good basketball team.
Dunder Mifflin. Yeah. They found that 92% of resolutions fail.
Oh.
So 8% of the people find it, do well and are able to hang on to that, but 92% failure rate.
Oh my goodness.
Surprising to me. I mean, I guessed it might be high, but I wouldn't have guessed it was that high.
Yeah. So 92% of people fail in whatever resolution is. And what are the usual resolutions? What are the ones that people usually do?
There seems to be a lot of thought around kind of three main resolutions that pop up there. Mm-hmm. And those are they're all health related, which is kind of not surprising, but exercising more, eating healthier, losing weight. Those are kind of the top three that seem to pop up for most people.
Yeah. So all of them having to do with health, all of them having to do kind of like with our external life and how we're living and how we're feeling and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And, I suppose from my perspective, that's great if it works.
Right.
That's fantastic. I mean, like with weight loss, I know that depending on the state that you live in, there could be a high level of obesity within it. And so weight loss might be a really great thing to have as a resolution or an intention. And if it works, fantastic. Then maybe you have a whole nother way to live your life.
Yeah, you might have more energy.
All that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But if only 8% of people that it's working for, then 92% it might be a good idea to say, well, is there any other way? Is there something else that we can do rather than just kind of jump on the bandwagon of exercise, weight loss, and all those kind of things? Once again, there's nothing wrong with those things. Those things are great if you can do them and if they're helpful to you. Mm-hmm. So from the spiritual world, it would be, don't look outside of yourself so much for resolutions and intentions. Look inside.
What does that mean?
Well, that would mean kind of like take a look at what's going on inside of you and the things that are maybe a good way that somebody talked about it with me one time is find a way to listen to the still small voice within yourself. Find a way to listen to that part of you that might even succeed in doing the exercise, the weight loss, and the whatever else there is. But that just feels like that's not enough, that's not really what I'm looking for. That's what I mean. So the inner life is that part of me that isn't looking outside of myself for either satisfaction or a sense of who I am or a sense of purpose or any of that kind of stuff.
So do you think resolutions and intentions are a way we try to get at that?
I think so. I mean, I think
that feeling that maybe something's missing, or if only I was able to do this, or...
Yeah, I think the way I've heard it sometimes is people look at the resolutions and the new year and the new beginnings and all that kind of stuff as the new and improved me. Here's a way for me to be better. You know, here's a better version of me, like, you know, Thom 5.0 or what, you know, whatever it is. And it's, once again, that's fine. If it works for you and that helps you out and it takes you into your life and makes it more meaningful and all that kind of stuff. But if it doesn't, then another way to look at a new and improved me from a spiritual perspective would be, I'm not looking for that. I'm not looking to make myself perfect or better in any way. I'm looking to find my true self, my real self, that part of me that is innate to me. This is going to be a very different way to kind of look at human beings and look at life than most of us might do most of the time. But from a spiritual perspective, it would be, we come already with stuff within us, with a particular kind of a temperament, with a particular kind of energies that were things that we're attracted to, things that we're repelled from. And you can probably see that when even just in little babies and little kids. I've had 3 children, and each of them approaches the world in a little bit of a different way.
So rather than kind of a blank slate from the start, there's something already there.
Yes, rather than a blank slate from the start, something is there. And we've talked about this some in the past, but it is a central understanding of humanity that the spiritual life brings. You know, it's very different from I make my life, I create my life. It's I find my life. My life is something that is a part of who and what I am, and I discover more and more about who and what I am, as opposed to who and what I am is what I do out in the world. You know, so for a lot of people, their identity is attached to their work. So who and what I am is how successful I am in whatever job it is that I have. Okay, and maybe that works for a while, but or who and what I am is how healthy I am, based on these resolutions.
Right.
Who and what I am is how well I eat, how good I feel, and all those things are a part of who and what we are. But from what I'm talking about is, no, there's like the scriptures called it a pearl of great price. So there's something that's so unique to each one of us, within us, that makes it that pearl of great price. That it's innate to each of us, that each one of us has this unique spark that we can bring to the world, and that somehow or another our job isn't to create ourselves, but to find that and then to live from that place. Does that make sense, guys? There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, when I think about, I think it's interesting when I think about the resolutions, the top 3. You know, as far as being healthier, exercising more, losing weight. A lot of us kind of know how to do that. I mean, I know what's unhealthy for me. I know what's healthy for me. I know what I need to avoid, what I need to not eat. I know I need to move more, those kinds of things. But in talking what you're talking about, I don't know those things.
Yeah.
I don't know what those kind of common steps that I just kind of have known, I don't know what they are.
Yeah.
You know, so where would I start with that if that was a direction that I was going to shift toward?
Okay, so where I would start is the first place in almost all the spiritual world is to start with paying attention to myself. So I'm paying attention to what's going on within me. I'm paying attention to feelings and thoughts that are coming, and kind of not latching on to any of them, but just observing them. So in a particular situation, I might say, Okay, say like I'm driving behind somebody
Mm-hmm.
and they're going really slow. Okay. From one perspective, you could just yell at them, and that would be perfectly understandable and acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
They're slowing me down. Okay, so from a spiritual perspective, though, it would be paying attention to the feelings that you're starting to have. Pay attention to the thoughts that are coming up. Pay attention to, why are you in such a rush?
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So that would be the first thing. Pay attention to how I respond in certain situations. What's going on in me? And just watching it. Don't judge it. Don't condemn it. Just pay attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And you'll start to discover some things about yourself,
Mm-hmm.
more things about yourself. Then if you want to take it a little further, and this is, for me, this is the biggest one, pay attention to your dreams.
Your
dreams at night. Start to really write them down, take them seriously, spend time with them. But let me back up, because the first thing is come into some sense that dreams are something that from the spiritual perspective, dreams come from somewhere deep within the person that for many people throughout the history of the world would associate with the gods or God. So dreams come from this deep divine place. And what they're trying to do is show you something about life and show you something about yourself.
So kind of connected in a way to that small voice.
Yes,
that you
connected
mentioned.
to it would be exactly that small voice. And when I start to just recognize my dreams, then it's kind of easy to pay attention to it because I can't block it out.
Yeah,
I can't get too busy because I'm sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a perfect time for them to come in and try to help me out.
Do you find you remember your dreams? I know for me, that's a thing. I feel like I don't remember them very often. I guess that's part of the intentionality of.
So here, I'll tell you my relationship with dreams and in response to that question. So probably about a little over 20 years ago, 20 some odd years ago, I was just in a place where I had a pretty decent internal life. I was meditating, praying, doing that kind of stuff, Bible study and reading. But there was just that nagging sense, something's missing. I'm just not getting at it. And so I asked somebody, a friend, if they knew anybody who I could talk to, because I had spiritual directors in the past,
Mm-hmm.
and I found that very helpful. That's how I that's how I moved into things like meditation and stuff like that. So they recommended somebody, and I met with him weekly, and as part of our time together, and he was an analyst,
Mm-hmm.
as part of our time together, we would do dream work. And the way that he introduced it to me, because I didn't think I remembered my dreams either,
Mm-hmm.
he said, what I want you to do is go home tonight and ask for a dream before you go to sleep. Say, I'd like to have a dream, please. And then when you go, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Come on. I didn't say it out loud, but in
Right.
my head I was saying, what? I think I'm going to stop seeing you. but what happened was I went home and I did that,
Uh-huh.
and it worked. A dream
wow.
came, and I remembered it. And he had said, when you remember it, write it down immediately. So it was
Mm-hmm.
like 3 a.m. I was in the closet with a flashlight so I didn't wake anybody up.
Yeah.
But, I was trying to take it seriously. And I wrote it down, and then I had a dream the next night, and I had a dream the next night, and I did the same thing each time.
Okay.
And then I went in the next week to talk to him, and we chose a dream, and we went through it. And what I found was it opened up another part of me in my life that I was not aware of. What
do you mean by that?
Well, what I mean is, I I had a particular sense of who and what I was, and the
Mm-hmm.
dream showed me something else. So I'll give you an example. This was a little later. This wasn't then. This was
Mm-hmm.
after I'd been working with my dreams for about 3 or 4 years. I was Episcopal priest, working as an Episcopal priest, and I thought I was doing pretty well. I thought I was, I don't know, doing all the stuff you're supposed to do as an Episcopal priest. There's still, is a little bit of that nagging, is this all there is? But all in all, I felt
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. So I met with my dream guy, and I had a dream, and the dream was there were a group of people who were meeting in a church parish hall,
Mm-hmm.
and they were sitting there, and they're waiting for me. They're waiting for me to come and lead this group. And I come rushing in, and my shirt is all untucked. And I had on a clergy shirt, so I had on a collar
Mm-hmm.
and a clergy shirt, and I come rushing in, and just as I'm about to start the class, I wake up. So that's the dream.
Okay.
Right. And so what the heck is that, right?
Yeah.
So the thing about dreams to remember is dreams speak in symbolic language. So dreams are like stories or myths or things like that. So they're the symbolic language that one thing is a symbol of something else, as opposed to kind of like rational, direct language.
Okay.
So all of the stuff within the dream is like a story, a symbolic story. And so I had somebody who I could work with, because if I had just tried it on my own, I'd have
Right.
thought, oh, I'm just cool. That's why I had my shirt untucked, because I'm a cool priest. And that would have been a great, then I just would have went on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I met with the guy, and we talked about it, and he says, well, what the dream is saying is you're being really sloppy. That was the untucked. That was the symbol for,
Okay.
and you're obviously very harried, frantic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so I had to take a step back and go, okay, so here's some new information about how I'm functioning and how I'm doing and who I am. And
So you felt like he felt like in your conversation together that the dream was sharing that information
yes,
with you?
that was why I had the dream like that.
Okay.
And I see the thing about dreams is it has to, on some level, even if it's an uncomfortable connection, it has to connect somewhere within the dreamer.
Mm-hmm.
And there has to be, sometimes it's I don't want this to be true,
Yeah.
but it's true. I know it's true. Okay. And that was that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to have to face this, but I have to face this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what I recognize is through the dream, and it might have come in another way,
Mm-hmm.
but this is how it came for me, is because I'm trying to do too much, I'm not doing anything well.
Okay.
And that became a part of, okay, somebody else might have been doing twice as much as I was doing, and it would have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, and I do think dreams by and large are tailored for the person who's the dreamer, to try to help us with what's going on in our life.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a greater intelligence trying to share with us the way this intelligence sees the dreamer, sees me, and sees what I'm doing. Okay. So once again, I could have said, no, I don't believe that, and then nothing would have changed. But I said,
Mm-hmm.
okay, that's true. And so what I tried to do then was not rush around so much. All right. I tried to say, okay, I'm going to spend more time with this group, and if that means I can't do the next thing, then I'll have to just wait and do that next thing some other time.
Mm-hmm.
And it helped. It helped me live. And I've had that dream, not the exact thing, but the harried dream
Mm-hmm.
a lot. And it always reminds me, don't get caught up doing that. Doesn't mean don't do stuff. It just
Mm-hmm.
means your temperament, your personality, you need to there needs to be a different kind of a focus. And the focus was be present where you are. So if we're going to then try to apply this to resolutions, the dream would have helped me articulate it. The dream would have said, here's a good resolution for you for this year. So this would be a very different way, more than one way, to enter into a new way of being.
So that fit you better.
Yes,
it really was something more, like you said, custom to the dreamer or to yourself.
Yes.
And that kind of discovery led to a different behavior.
Yes, it did. That's right. Yeah. And see, that's the thing about always looking outside. Nothing wrong with saying, I want to be socialized, I want to assimilate into culture. All that stuff is a part of life. But when we get to things like what at the heart of what a resolution is I want to be more me. I want to live a more authentic life. I want to live a more real life. Mm-hmm. When we get to that place, then the cultural stuff can maybe point you in a direction, but you can't just say, oh, because that person exercises, right, I should that's what I should do.
Yeah.
Because everybody does this, that's what I should do.
Mm-hmm.
The dream's going to say, maybe not.
Gotcha.
And you'll find out more about, once again, who you are. So I'll tell you another dream, because that led into, okay, well, a few years later, well, what is it that I really have to offer? Because it's just, I think it's a natural thing to just fall into what everybody else is doing.
Sure.
And after a couple of years, I fell into doing what everybody else is doing. I think I was doing better about staying present in the places where I was. I wasn't rushing as much. But there still was that still small, yeah, but.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was talking with my spiritual guy about, there's something I'm not doing, or something I'm missing, or I don't feel fulfilled. I don't, think all that stuff like that. And he was just like, just stick with it. And I had a dream. So I had a dream, and in the dream, I was walking through a farmer's market.
Okay.
And it was a very active farmer's market, and it was great. It was a beautiful day, blue skies. It was just one of those, this is great. And I'm walking along, and I get to this booth, and an older, just very lovely older woman with just this kind of gray flowing hair and these blue eyes. She hands me this, or she holds out really this huge, ripe, beautiful tomato. And she goes, this is yours. In the dream.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So there it is again. What the hell? What's that? Right. So I meet with my guy and we talk. But this time I did a little bit more research. He knew about it, and I did a little bit more on the symbol of a tomato.
Right.
So a tomato was called the love fruit back in the day, because tomatoes are fruit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was a representative of heart.
Okay.
Of feeling and heart, and it had all that goes with that. That's all that's wrapped up in a tomato. So this has way more meaning than just a tomato. It's a symbol for living a life filled with meaning and feeling and giving your whole heart to life.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And essentially, what the old woman, as he and I talked through the dream, was saying was, this is what you're looking for. This is who you are. This is what you have to offer the world. Okay, so part of me is like, well, what's the heck's that? I mean, I want to be like, yeah, what do you do with that? That's a great resume piece, right? I've got a big tomato heart. So but it was more, once again, trying to get at less the specifics about what to do. Like, right. I'm a really good blah. Mm-hmm. I'm a really good, preacher. I'm a really good this. I'm really good at that, right? And so it's less about that and things that might have more to do with kind of skill and more to do with this is who you are. This is what you have to live life from the place of your heart, the place of feeling, the place of vulnerability, the place of openness, the place of compassion, and that's what you have to give to life. Once again, it's like, I think I'd rather be a good preacher, yeah. But the dream was saying something about me, and this would be more, I guess you would say, on the positive side, that I could not see in myself, or I did not want to see in myself.
Okay.
Right, and then I could, if I can accept that, then I can then go about adding that to who and what I am. So don't rush, don't be frantic, spend time, give your all that stuff. And then remember to bring your heart. Because that's the key.
Yeah.
All right?
So the dreams were guiding you kind of along a path versus you setting that path and really trying to hold to it like a resolution.
Right.
You were more being led.
And by the force of my will,
right,
I will do this resolution. Once again, if you're of the 8% for whom that works, fantastic.
Yeah.
But for the other 92%, you have to know there's more than one way. There are other ways to look at, okay, once again, we're due resolutions to say, I'm going to enter into this new year a new and better me. Another way to look at it is to say, I'm going to enter into this new year and find out more about who I really am and live from that place. And I'm not saying that's for everybody. I'm saying that's another way. And I'm saying that in the spiritual world that is so central to my life, it has been immeasurably helpful and continues to be. And so it's never that from this particular way of looking at it, at the beginning of the year, I set just one resolution for the rest of the year. Right. It's ongoing.
Right.
It's an ongoing thing. And sometimes there's course correction and adjustments and all that kind of stuff. It's once our lane here at More Than One Way is the spiritual world.
Right.
Is the spiritual life. And so what we're trying to offer to people is that way, is can you see something like dreams, something that you might never have thought of before, as a way to help you live your life, as a way to help you find your life, really.
Yeah. Because I think, the base of that resolution is really searching for something.
Yeah, it is.
Whether it's that new version of ourselves or whatever it is. It's just, we all have that.
We do, and it's been around for a long time. And I meant to say this before, but I'll say it now, is, way back in the day when the resolutions or the new year was coming around, what people would do, most cultures, most religions within the culture, they would have some kind of a ritual where they remembered their creation story, where they remembered their creation myth. And within that creation myth and that they ritualized and shared together, people were reminded of who they were, kind of, and where they were headed. But it was a collective thing. It was a collectively shared myth that each person was like, oh yeah, I'm a Babylonian. Yeah, that's who I am, and this is what we're all about. Okay, that was, 4,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago.
Right.
We don't live that way anymore. So that's why I jumped right into the dream thing, because a dream could be like your own personal myth, your own personal story, once again, that tells you more about who and what you are, because we are so much more individually focused,
right,
as a people than they were 4,000 years ago. But it's the same concept. It's the same thing.
Okay.
To say, what helps me to remember who and what I am, and then therefore how I can live, how I can go about living my life.
Yeah.
And, that's the exercise, the diet, that's an answer to that question.
It is.
It is. And once again, If that works for you and your life feels like it's just like humming along, good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Just doesn't seem to work for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think as we talk about this, I brought back to the idea of that when you were told to ask for a dream, and I think could be a great first step. Being somebody that doesn't remember my dreams that often, maybe I could start with that, just asking for a dream and see where it goes.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Just try it. It might feel kind of silly at first, but just try it and see what happens.
And so many times when we try something new, we feel silly anyway.
Yeah.
That's just part of doing something new. So.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, just to give you a little support and confidence from it, from all the research that people do around REM sleep and all that stuff, everybody dreams. Yeah. We just don't remember them.
Gotcha. So as we start this new year and you're looking for ways to listen to that small voice, maybe dreams is one way that you might try to do that as you're thinking about what this new year has for you. We're so glad that you spent this time with us, and we would love to hear your thoughts. If our conversation today brought up something, or if you have questions, we'd love to hear from you. You can reach out to us, email at hello@onewaypod.com. You can also look for us on social media. We would always love to hear your feedback and hear what are the issues that you're facing and that you're dealing with that maybe we could have as topics as well. So thanks so much, and we hope we'll see you soon.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the More Than One Way podcast, brought to you by the Center for Spiritual Practice in Knoxville, Tennessee. We really appreciate your time and would love to hear your feedback. You can reach us by emailing hello@morethanonewaypod.com, or you can connect with us on social media using the handle @morethanonewaypod. If you found this episode helpful, we hope that you'll share it with your friends, with your family, with people you work with all the people who you know. Thank you, and take care.